So, hi, Deepak.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for joining us on your day off to talk about being an agent of change.
You're welcome.
So, can you tell people what you do
Yeah,
and a bit
sure.
about yourself, please?
Yeah, so my name's Deepak Palmer. I'm a design director at a design consultancy firm called MCM.
So, that's your job, but we've also had lots and lots of conversations separately about becoming an agent of change.
Mm.
And you've been doing lots of work internally, haven't you, to try and promote sustainability. So can you tell me about that? Because that's not your job, is it?
No, not at all. Well, in a way, I'd argue it probably is all. It's a job for all designers. I mean, sustainability is, as I'm sure you're aware, has been kind of floating around in the kind of design and construction world for a very long time. But I think it's only really in the last, I don't know, 5 years where it's really picked up momentum, and people are really starting to kind of act on it. And I'm finding, more of our clients are really starting to really put it at the top of their agenda as well. So I think there's been this kind of, global, I suppose, feeling that they want to make sure that they are seen as a sustainable business. They know it's good for their people. They know it's good for them as an organisation. Therefore, when they're undertaking some kind of design piece or some kind of construction piece on their workplace, they want to ensure that sustainability is a key factor in the brief.
Mm. And internally, within the office environment
Mm.
and the organisation, you've picked up the mantle with sustainability as well, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. It probably wasn't the top of my radar, or at least I didn't become a designer to become a sustainable designer in a way. But so much of our roles as designers are to ensure that we're creating really healthy workplaces and sustainable workplaces. So my role in the office is really to kind of oversee a lot of the design work and ensure that we're ultimately putting out really good product that is the best that we can ultimately do. However, as I've been discussing with kind of new talent coming in and with existing talent, and as the agenda of sustainability has been kind of growing, I really kind of tried to take the kind of hold of ensuring that MCM as a business is not only sustainable in itself, but also what we produce is sustainable as well. So it didn't take much, to be honest. A few conversations with some really passionate people in the office really sparked the drive to do something kind of soon and immediate.
Mm. And where did that initial conversation start? So
Mm.
what was the spark that got that going, really?
Oh God, difficult to pinpoint it exactly, but I think I actually think it was off the back of I had read several books over one summer and based around sustainability, or I definitely watched something, and for me, it then kind of posed a question, and I thought I want to see who else has got the appetite within the business to do something. So we every week we kind of host an internal debate. It's usually around a project or an interesting speaker will come in. I chose to kind of run a session on sustainability and just have an open discussion around what people's view is on our stance on sustainability, our own policies on sustainability, and what kind of discussions our clients are having with all of our design team. And from that one session, I had a full house. We had everyone in the, most people in the business there, because actually everyone in the business knew it was important and probably felt that we weren't doing enough. And therefore, we wanted to kind of almost have a bit of an overview of where we sit as an organisation, both internally and externally. And so, off that, I created a kind of small subgroup of the kind of most passionate people within the business, and we set out a whole bunch of actions. Some of them were really small. I think the kind of small action group that I created, that we've taken all these actions, some long term, some short term, and we've really tried to kind of build on that to ensure that we're kind of slowly but surely, incrementally, becoming a more sustainable business.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So the with the people who are passionate though,
Mm.
how are you managing to maintain momentum? Because I know that sometimes it can seem like such a big task, can't it,
Mm.
taking on this huge topic of sustainability?
It is absolutely, and I think you know for us it's really been around um, leveraging like the passion that people have. You know, a lot of the guys internally are um, out protesting on the streets. So they've already got that kind of inbuilt passion.
Like
Exactly.
6 Rebellion poster that was fresh from the street.
Oh, yeah. But I think that's exactly the way you've got to do. You've got to leverage people's passions and build on those passions as well. Because I think, I think well, from what I've found particularly is most of the young designers in our office are already thinking in that way. It didn't take them any convincing. They just needed a platform to speak, or they just needed a platform to act upon. So I found that quite refreshing that most of the young designers are already there. It was getting the kind of slightly more experienced designers on board that was more of a challenge.
So it sounds like you were sort of pushing at an open door once you got started. Yeah.
Totally,
But
totally.
how did you have any initial fears about standing up and making this central? Because this sounds now like it's
Mm.
taken on a life of its own and it's become really big. Was there a moment where you thought, I'm just too busy, I can't take all this on?
Yes, and I still have that every few days actually. um, Absolutely. Trying to fit all these extra initiatives that aren't part of your day job do take up lots of time and effort. But I think fundamentally for me, it was I don't know. I felt responsible, especially as one of the directors of the business. If we're not leading these initiatives, then who is? We
Mm,
should be. We need to be setting the example so that our staff can follow. So it was really important for me to ensure that we had some buy-in from the leadership team, but also that for me, I set out time for it because it was part of the kind of strategic thinking of the business. So in a way, it kind of did and didn't feel like extra work.
yeah.
It's just something that I strongly feel that we should do.
Yeah. And you're supported then by your seniors in spending time on this, because this obviously time that takes you away from other things.
It is time, and I think I've not by far I've not done all the work myself. I've had a good team of people behind me who have really helped kind of ease that process, and I think that's probably one of the biggest blockers, especially for large organisations where there may be a lot of bureaucracy. We're quite small, we're quite agile and nimble. Once we make a decision, we're fairly quick to act on it. If we were a much larger organisation, that would be more difficult because of the time that people think you're going to spend on it and whether that is worth the money. For us, we're always thinking quite strategically into the future around
Mm,
what will our organisation, what will MCM be in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, and in a way that's why we describe ourselves as a kind of design consultancy because we're not just architects and we're not just kind of interior designers where we think a little bit more holistically than that, and
mm,
therefore I think in a way I think people immediately saw the value of becoming an organization like that. I suppose because it ties in so closely with our own company values, that almost sets the tone for it. There's no pushback against your own values. If you're saying, if you're saying I'm doing this because it's part of our values, you can't
yeah.
really argue with that in a way.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I think a lot of organizations say that things are their values, but it's not necessarily the case that once you drive into that and once the back's against the wall, that the values actually are what they're stated as being. So I think that's a really great starting point, that you have a set of values as an organization, that then when something like this comes along and it chimes with those values, then like you say, there's no real resistance. It's
Mm.
just all aligned.
I think find the right people in the organisation that have a real passion for this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's key. I think you need the people to back you, and you need a group to back you, so you're not on your own.
So thank you so much for talking to us. Good to talk to
Good
you. Thank
stuff.
you so much,
All
Deepak.
right,
Have a
Gemma.
good day.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.